see this light at the end of the tunnel. And as I got nearer to the light, so I got more of this feeling of love and peace and wonderful tranquility.
I literally came out of my body, flipped over. I was about a foot in a parallel, if you can imagine, position above the body, looking inwards. I was dead as far as I was concerned, and I thought to myself at the time, God, I'm dead.
I found myself up in the corner of the ceiling and looking down at my body in the bed, and I was connected to it by a blue and silvery cord.
I can't really get away from the word peace, the absolute peace and tranquility, serenity of dying. Not a struggle at all.
They've actually been nearer to the boundary than the rest of us have. They are people who, on the whole, have been declared dead or are apparently dead. And 20 years ago, they would not have been resuscitated, many of them. And therefore, they have been further along that journey than the rest of us have.
St David's University College, Lampeter, in Wales. An international conference of academics discussing the near-death experience, or NDE. Is it something that warrants serious research? Or is it, for those who have the experience, merely wishful thinking?
No, I don't think it is wishful thinking. I think if we can wish for things until the cows come home, but our wishes don't necessarily change our lives. But the people who have these experiences have experiences which actually transform their lives. They are subsequently quite different people. They see life in a different way. And I don't know anybody, well, I know very few people for whom just mere wishful thinking has had that effect.
A hallucination temporarily changes someone's life, but when the hallucination stops, they're back to being who they used to be. The near-death experiencer is never really who they used to be. They don't go back to who they used to be.
I think one of the really interesting aspects of this is that there's a turn to a much more positive stance to life.
Most people who've had a near-death experience say it makes a great deal of difference to their attitude to life. It's the kind of difference that we parsons have been telling them to do for a long, long time, but it takes the real experience before it makes people flip over.
Yes, it's analogous to conversion or initiation, if you like.
Yes.
It's a complete revaluation of values.
I think this kind of knowledge for people who've had religious experiences of one sort or another is absolutely convincing, and this transforms their lives. So it seems to me that what we're doing is looking at a different realm of knowledge in which the kinds of proof we use for the physical world don't apply. And the only way we can prove this kind of thing is by going on that journey.
I know that there's no such thing as death. It's just merely walking out of one car, walking out the car door and being free. Above me was the brightest light I feel that I could have ever experienced. I say experienced because I now realise I didn't have eyes. And at the time I felt I was going blind. This came on, say, it's very difficult to give a time on these things, but it was considerable time in this experience. The next part of this experience was the appearance of a being. The being indicated to me, without words, to look down what appeared to be beneath my feet. And there I saw this ball, about the size of a tennis ball, turning very slowly in space. I knew I had to go back to this place, and as I travelled towards it got larger and larger and larger and larger. I didn't want to go back, by the way. I wanted to stay where I was in space and go beyond to something else. And I kind of impacted with what I now know to be Earth. And I saw all the colours, by the way, long before they'd done space shots. And I hit Earth, as it were, and woke up. Apparently much better, even cured.
You describe it as a near-death experience, but as far as onlookers were concerned, were you, to all intents and purposes, actually dead?
On about the Friday afternoon, round about 4:30, say, apparently I slipped out and was pronounced dead. It's true, of course, you know, ways of determining death in those days were not as, perhaps as effective as now, but they were pretty sure. And there was a pronouncement, well, he's gone, apparently. That's what my father told me. He said, they said, we're very sorry to tell you that the little lad's gone. And that was it. So I had been pronounced dead, yes.
And arrangements were made to...
Oh, yes.
Dispose of the body?
Yes, they were going to take me to the High Wycombe General Hospital and do a post-mortem. And that's when my mother came in, being a very religious Jew. She said, you can't do that, it's the Friday night, and our, you know, the kind of the Sabbath comes in on the dusk, and we can't allow that to happen. You'll have to just wait.
And when did you regain consciousness?
Sunday morning, at about 11 o'clock. In the Jewish religion, they have what they call a vacha, or a watcher over the body, until it's interned. And apparently I shook the life out of him because I came to kind of screaming and banging and shouting.
This video clip is taken from the film Visions of Hope. To obtain details of the full film, please see the website www.spiritrelease.org. That is www.spiritrelease.org.